Right, welcome to the morning show here on the Rise News. I'm Rufai Hosseini.
And I am Adesoa Omoran.
Right, there's been a spate of building collapses in Lagos, Nigeria. In some cases, people have died. In another instance, some buildings have been back for demolition and at least 3 times. In fact, there are concerns about hundreds of buildings in the city that have been marked for demolition that are now collapsing. Joining us to discuss this and more is Jane Wu, Publicity Secretary, Building Collapse Prevention Guild, and also a member of the Institute of Builders, right? Yeah. Great to have you. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Just for effect, we did call on also, Lagos State representative of the Lagos State Building Control Agency. They said they were going to be here this morning, but they are not yet here with us. What are the issues?
Thank you for inviting me to your program this morning. Yeah. Just like you rightly introduced, being a member of Building Collapse Prevention Guild of Nigeria, and also a registered member of Nigerian Institute of Building. We have looked into it that this collapse of building is already like a nightmare in the city of Lagos in particular and Nigeria in general. And before now, we saw this coming. We saw that, in fact, we're even looking at it that in the near future, it's going to be like everyday occurrence. We're going to have building collapsing every day. We saw this years back, that is going to be the trend. Understand? We decided to form this association, Building Collapse Prevention Guild of Nigeria, just to sensitize people, to create awareness, to let people know that we need to do the needful. We need to build right. We need to prevent this so that we don't have losses of life in particular. Talking about, okay, yes, there might be losses of properties, money being wasted, but life. We came together to form this association. And when you talk about collapse in Nigeria, there are a lot of factors. For instance, you find out that recently, people don't engage professionals. The other day, we went to visit the House of Assembly, Lagos State House of Assembly. That was about 3 weeks ago. And in fact, it got to one of the honorables told us that in Lagos State, yearly about 10,000 buildings are being constructed yearly. And I asked them, how many professionals are there? They told me truly that they did a research. They found out that the percentage is just like about 5%. Professionals handling these projects. And okay, I saw one of the properties that collapsed. That was the one of I think Magodo.
Last week. It was a collapse in Magodo.
The one that collapsed in Magodo. When I looked at it critically, I found out that what they did there, look at it there. You can even say that these materials are substandard. The mixed ratios. People just go into construction thinking that, well, it's all commerce affair, we can just mix it anyhow.
There's a lot of blame game that goes around. Okay. It's a constant thing whenever we have building collapse in Lagos or in Nigeria. The professionals will blame the quacks, the government will also have somebody to blame. But before I go into that blame game and who should be held responsible, I came across a report recently credited to the president of the guild. And he says about 36,000 potential collapses are waiting to happen in Lagos State. Is this not an exaggeration? 36,000 collapses waiting to happen.
Yes. I don't see that as an exaggeration, my sister, because what is happening now, what is happening presently, a lot of property, a lot of buildings are sick.
What do you mean a sick building?
When a building is sick, defective, you see some buildings, you see dampness on the wall, you understand? The wall, from the underground, you see penetration of water. The wall is already weak, you understand? You see some is the roof. You're already having problem with the roof. Some, it could be the plumbing system. You understand? Okay, look at the other one that happened on, even the usage. The one that happened in Ketu, Explosion, gas explosion. You understand? Actually, the gas cylinder is not supposed to be kept inside. It's supposed to be kept outside. But it's inside, and when the explosion happened, what happened? The wall gave way. The wall gave way. And when I looked at also that, the collapsed one, I looked at it, is this a wall? You see the reinforcement, the way it was arranged, we have specifications for things. There are specifications for all these things, but people ignore it, and they go about building anyhow.
So 36,000 buildings, even more than that, might be collapsing.
I would even say it's going to be more than that. Because this craziness of everybody want to build, everybody want to become a landlord overnight, just started with the increase, probably increase on house rent. People like, if I have this more money I want to give to the landlord, why can't I just use it and start my property? And before you know it, they are rushing it, rushing. They just employ one quack by the side. They build anything.
Okay, let's go to details and standards now.
Okay.
Things like, what is the cement mixing ratio?
Okay.
Take, for instance, how many cement blocks can you get out of a bag of cement? Because it starts from things as little as that.
Yes.
A building that will stand is dependent on the integrity of the blocks.
Not only that, we have the block as one of it. We have, you know, what makes up a building is not only block, you understand? You also have the reinforcement. You have the water. When you're mixing, you don't just use anyhow water.
But we see a lot of people use dirty water to
That
mix
is
cement.
it. By the time you're using the dirty water, chemical is already mixing up. You understand? You have to use potable water even to mold your block. You don't just go to, I see some people do construction, they just go by the roadside, they take water from anywhere. It's wrong. Right from day one, it's already having problem. You understand? Then when you also come to talk about the kind of material you want to use and specifications and things like that, it also depends on the area. How many soil tests, how many people carry out soil tests to know what is the bearing capacity of this soil that will enable me to build whatever I want to build? Some people feel, okay, it's a bungalow I want to do. I don't need to carry out a soil test. You need to carry out a soil test to know what is the bearing capacity of this soil as to what I want to build.
Who do we hold responsible for all of this? Because we keep having building collapses.
Yes.
The professionals say it's the quacks and the laborers that are taking over the profession. There's a guild like yours. The government will also come and say, you know, it's the greediness of the landlords or the developers, as they call them. We saw the past governor of Lagos State, Governor Ambode, saying that, you know, buildings were marked for demolitions, but the landlords refused the demolition. That was the excuse when Itafaji happened. Who do we hold responsible? Because there's a guild as yours. What are you doing to ensure that these quacks you're talking about do not take over your profession?
Okay, thank you for that beautiful question. Let me first of all say, in this whole thing, everybody is involved. I would say everybody is involved. Okay, take for instance our guild. We are there, but we are not empowered.
How?
Okay, we have various cells. We are being divided according to local governments in Lagos. I belong to Koshofe cell. I am the coordinator of Koshofe cell. You understand? We have a lot of substandard building constructions going on there. Talking about the foundation, especially, you know, when you go to Magodo, all those, not Magodo, Ogudu, Bagada, you see houses tilted up and down because of the foundation problem. But we cannot go there to go and stop their work.
Why?
Because we are not empowered. You understand? You are not empowered. You don't have the complete support of government, like giving you armed men. You understand? We move with them to the side and stop work. What we can only do is, whenever we see a defective building or construction going on, we just allow the LAFSCA. We tell them something is going on somewhere here. Please go and do something.
And in most cases, does LAFSCA stop them?
I would have loved if the man would have been here himself, because I would have loved to talk with him one-on-one on this issue. Because personally, on our platform, I know properties that I personally posted to them, which I highlighted, please, LAFSCA, take notes.
That's Lagos State Building Control. And Lagos State Building Control didn't do anything
and
about
up
that.
till now, there are some of them they have not done. Some they did, actually. Some they did. And in fact, we have a platform that we even have the LAFSCA people there. We all belong to it. We have to put them in, because if we don't put them in, we keep making this noise about this property that we go to the office. Probably it will not have effect. But we decide to put them in our platform. You understand? So anytime we see any defective building, we post it to them there, and we tell them, please take notes. So, but sometimes we still find out that things are not being done. Even though they are there, the LAFSCA are there on our platform, things are not done. The other day, we commended them on one property that we told them that they should do. I think there was a property somebody was trying to add another floor to an existing, to an already finished project. You understand? We called them, and they went there to stop the construction. You know, and we applauded them. And somebody came on the platform and said, applauding them, okay, look at another property that we have told them some 3-4 months ago they are not doing anything.
What do you think is the biggest challenge of LAFSCA, and why they're not responding as much as you want them to?
They would have been here to answer that question, they said, because I don't work in the government sector.
But from what you
but
have
I think they lack the staff, the manpower. I think they lack it. They can't cover every nook and cranny of Lagos State. And that is for one. Another thing I suppose is, you know, we can't rule out the fact that we have cabals up and down. I don't rule that out.
Okay, we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll still be talking to Jane, Publicity Secretary, Building Collapse Prevention Guild. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Rufai Hosseini. And we're just so passionate about this issue today. And we still got Jane Ogbu with us. I mean, Publicity Secretary, Building Collapse Prevention Guild. I mean, this is why you were making some very valid points about racketeering before, you know, while we're on during the break. You just want to talk through that.
Because she talked about cabals. You know, it's mind-boggling when you hear that there's an agency such as LAFSCA that should give permission before a building can be erected in Lagos. And then you find all these collapses, and it is pertinent that we hold people responsible. So we're talking about the challenges of LAFSCA in your own opinion, because we did invite them to come and talk about this, but they did not show up again.
So making the second time.
You were saying, in your own opinion, manpower, and then you talked about cabals.
Yes. We can't, just like we said, we can't rule that out, because you find out that there are some things, it's only in Nigeria that people are above law. You understand? That is what we see here. We also know that we have professionals in LAFSCA. And we also know that, like I did say, that there are some property, there are some buildings that we told them that nothing had been done. There are some that they actually visited. Like, I was called upon to sign a document. Somebody just called me to a finished project that they needed me to sign something. We call it Form C. And I was like, sign a property? I have to do the investigation. Let me go and check the property first. I went there, it's already finished project. And I told them, please, I want to see all the documents, the structural drawing. They gave me the structure. I found out that there were government stamps there. That means government presence was there, but there was no registered builder that should supervise that project, and the project was done to completion. So at every stage of that construction, government were there. They were there. But they were not like, where are the complete professionals to handle this? I'm talking about 4-story building. Very massive project that had been already completed. It was converted, 2-story to 4 floors. You understand? So those are the things we're talking about. And
that's a disaster waiting to happen.
You understand? So we're still on that with them. You understand? There are a lot of things like that. So on the issue of government, what I would have, since they don't have enough manpower, like I did suggested one time on issue, I said there should be a synergy between the private and the government. Now, we have so many construction. In fact, I was so surprised when the Honorable said 10,000 building every year. And when I went back to my guild, they told me that it's even more than 10,000. We suggested something by the last time we made a presentation like this. We said, why don't we go into encoding of every property? Let it have code. This house should have code. Everything about this house should be in document. It should be documented in government office. That even somebody that took care of this property, like me, Jane, a registered builder, an MD, I have my own company, I should bear responsibility. Okay, if this house is under my care, I should submit everything that I know about this property, you understand, in the government file. It should be there. Then the architect that designed it, his number should be there, everything about this, so that whatever that happens to this property, it could be traced. It could be traced from anywhere. That was encoded.
Today, we have not seen the architect that designed that Itafaji building.
Yes. You might not see the architect that designed it. Okay, let me give you an example. The time I was working on another construction company before I found my own, I was handling a very big project in Lekki. You understand, a private residential building. I was almost completing it. One man drove into my site, and he said that he wants to show me his site for me to hand. And I got I was surprised it was a halfway. It was on the constructed halfway. It was the same thing I was constructing. You understand? And I'll look at it. What is happening? Where's your drawings? Let me have your drawings. He brought out the drawing. I saw my drawing. The same thing. And probably why they called me, because they got halfway, they got confused.
So they stole your drawings?
How they got that drawing? I asked, and I saw stamp of Lagos State on that drawing again. I was asking the man, how did it happen? I don't know, because the drawing I was telling you about that I used was approved. And probably, definitely there should be a copy in government office.
So it could be your artisan.
I don't know how that man got that thing. So people, what I'm trying to tell you is this. A lot of buildings are going on that people will just collect drawing from anywhere to do their own, which is very wrong. Because your land and my land cannot be the same. You understand? They have different capacity. You might want to build your own in the island, and I want to build my own in the mainland. It's not the same foundation. But people don't consider that, and that is disaster.
Indeed. It's very troubling just to hear these things. You talked about the importance of the nitty-gritty, the little things, the soil test, the water used in construction.
Yeah. A lot, even the wood.
Let's just remind, for those who did not hear about it, there was another building collapse in Lagos last week in Magodo. Thankfully, nobody died, but 3 people were trapped and taken to a hospital. Let me just ask, is there a correlation between the raining season and building collapse in Lagos?
Yes, you can't rule that out. You cannot rule that out. But when people say, it's because of the rains are here, anytime the rains are here, our building collapse. And when it is dry season, it seems to be reduced. Yes. It's not as if it's because of the rains in particular. Okay. That is why the thing is falling. After all, what is happening in just Benin Republic here? If you go to Benin Republic, you cannot even put a nail inside their wall. You will need, there's this concrete nail we call tornado nail. You have to use a tornado. You have to even screw the wall first. With a drilling machine, you have to drill it first before you can put in your nail or your screw. You understand? But what do we have here? You put in your nail, ordinary nail, it goes in straight. The wall is not strong. It's too weak. That is why when rain comes, it absorbs it.
Okay.
It absorbs it. The wall is so damp, as if it's like bread. Yes. There was one I sent out. There was one that collapsed in Anambra State. Okay. It's 2 floors. It collapsed to the last. And when I was looking at the picture, I was like, is this block? Is this block or ordinary sand? Probably roadside sand they packed.
Let's talk about cement. I mean, how many cement would you get from how many blocks of cement would you get from a bag of cement?
In a bag of cement, If it is 9 inches, you should be able to talk about 20 to 22. But in 6 inches, you can get like 25 to 27 for you to have something strong.
But some people are getting 90
No.
out of a bag of cement.
That is horrible. Even some that even get up to like even the ones that you see people buying on the road, they mold like 40, 45, 35 and the rest. You can't have it strong. You can't have it strong. And when you also finish when you talk about the plastering, what is the mix? What is the mix? Then when you want to also use cement, what kind of cement are you using? You understand? The cement for plastering is different from concrete, the one you use for concrete, but people don't know this, they mix everything up.
No, so there's super sets and there's...
There is various ones. Even the ones you will use for this kind of area, this kind of terrain, if you want to do the foundation. There are other materials you also need to add, additives to help you. Then in the design, in your design of the house, do you have to look at the direction of the wind? The architect looks into all those things before.
A lot of people have talked about the real estate and housing sector as the most, to create employment.
Okay.
No doubt. With the housing deficit that we have in Nigeria, we can only imagine why everybody wants to be a landlord.
Yeah.
You talked about, the synergy between the private and the government, but is that enough? Because when you look at this quacks or laborers that professionals such as you talk about, is it possible that you begin to incorporate these people? Do you have plans like that? Because even with when you look at the number of professionals, are they even enough? Even if you're going to synergize with the government, have you thought about bringing in these quacks or laborers?
Let me also remind you that in the Building Prevention Guild of Nigeria, we have the artisans that are registered members. We have the carpenters, we have the masons, we have the plumbers, the electricians, and all the rest of them. We have them. And we also, from time to time, carry out training on them, you understand, to integrate them, and also to let them know what their rules are. We try to know. But we found out that in this country, even though they have association, they also have their own association.
Okay.
You still have some that don't even belong to the association. Just like I'm a member of Nigerian Institute of Building. We also have a lot that finished studying building, but they are not member of NIOB. You understand? We still tell them, try to encourage them, come in. And that is why I try to look at it that it's even easy to checkmate all these things. If government want to collaborate with the institute, what stop the government agency collaborating with the institute? You understand? Whatever project that is out there that collapsed, we are holding you guys responsible. But whatever building that comes to our table for approval, we will look into it to know if it has a registered professional in it, so that it will be easy for them to trace anything. I don't see this thing as being so difficult. But what do you see? Even in their own office, assigning, do they go to look at it critically to know who is in charge?
Thank you so much. One thing is certain, we'll still have you back here. And I hope and pray that day that LAPSCA representative and general manager is here by your side when we have all this conversation, so that it doesn't look as though we're talking behind them. We'd like to thank you, Ms. Jane Ogu. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you.